Hello, I'm Heidi Cohen of the Actionable Marketing Guide, and I'm thrilled to join you for Voice Global 2020. And the title of this session is Why You Need Voice Marketing Now. And before we dive into the nuts and bolts of voice marketing, it's important to understand that not all voice actions have a marketing impact. For example, if I say, "Hey Google, turn on the lights," there's no marketing implication there. By contrast, if I talk into my phone and I say, "Hey Siri, where's a coffee shop near me?" that not only provides a marketing impact, but it gives context, location, and immediacy to that request. So in terms of where you need voice marketing and why it is important in today's world, is that we are getting to a point where by 2023, there will be over 3 billion smart devices in use. At the moment, there are currently about a third of US households have a smart device. So you have to start thinking as a marketer about what types of strategies and tactics you can use to reach your target audience using voice first and or voice-enabled devices. And this is not a separate strategy that sits by itself. It's integrated into your entire marketing plan, as well as your business plans and greater goals and purposes. Specifically, voice has an impact on branding. There's a reason that at the heart of branding is brand voice, and with a voice first or a voice enabled device, this translates to sonic branding, which are sounds, words, or melodies associated with your brand. Secondly, marketing includes customer experience, also known as CX, and this comes to life in terms of IVRs and chatbots, because people can actually listen to either your brand's voice or a synthetic voice. There's voice content, which can be an Alexa skill or a podcast or some other form of content that is either read in your brand's voice or via machine learning. Voice search has become a very hot topic, but from a marketing perspective, you have to focus on where the money terms are. Just being in the zero position on Google does not necessarily mean that the user gets a branded experience. They may find out your URL, but that is the most that they might get. You actually want to think about near me searches and places where they are looking for information about your brand, your business, that answer FAQ questions. As Marcus Sheridan says, they ask, you answer. Voice extends to advertising. This has been true since there's been radio. NPR has found that when the host of their show reads an ad, it actually performs better. And there's voice commerce, which may sound like it's new because you're going to use a voice-enabled device, but the reality is people have been using their phones to call in 800 numbers to buy products for years. And lastly, voice provides an omnichannel integrated marketing experience. And the main three reasons you want marketing to add voice to your marketing mix is that it humanizes and differentiates your brand. It makes it stand out in the marketplace so people immediately identify it. Because as Clifford Nass and Scott Brave said in their book, Wired for Speech, when people hear any voice, they automatically and unconsciously assign a personality to it. Secondly, it can help improve your product and customer experience. Actually, there are people who want to know and feel that there's a person at the other end of their communications, and similarly for high tension emotional products such as health, medical, and finance, they actually may want to talk to a synthetic voice. And lastly, voice allows you to reach people who you may not be able to reach in other situations. They may be, there may be no screen, they may be hands-free, or they may not actually be able to, see a screen and engaged in that way. So before I dive into the basics of how to do voice marketing, Let's look at the 3 types of action that can provide marketing results. The first one is when a user makes a request via a voice-enabled device and they expect a voice response. I call that VI to VO. And the importance here is that it helps you build branding and loyalty over time. For example, I say, Alexa, find me the actionable marketing guide skill. I want to listen to it. Or, Alexa, play my music. Next, and I think this is the biggest use of voice marketing, is when you have a non-voice input. It may be a communication, it could be an email, it could be a message, it could be some other form of content that yields a voice response. Specifically, an example of that could be you get an email that says, we have our latest episode of our podcast, and you can then click through. Or you find a blog post online, you go there and you can actually listen to an audio version of it. This is great, and it has more impact than just voice to voice because it now includes a wider range of materials that bring you and integrates voice and non-voice. And it allows you to do branding, customer experience, and it shows that your brand is truly omnichannel. And the last form, which I believe is the money version of using voice, is that you have a voice request that yields a non-voice response. I call that VI to NO. And the example of that could be that you have an Alexa skill in which you have a call to action that asks your user to go online and, let's say, register for emailing so that they know the next time that you have a new skill out there. And this is, to me, is the money version because not only does that get you branding on the channel, but it allows you to actually get permission to market in the sense that Seth Godin talks about permission marketing. And then it allows you to actually communicate with a prospect or customer and actually create a sale. So let's now go through how you can create voice marketing and apply it to your business. And in my opinion, it's as easy as ABC. So A stands for audience. And I'm sure most of you have a definition of who your actual audience is, that you have information that you've collected about them as well as from them, and you've probably created a set of marketing personas. But in addition to that, when you deal with voice in particular, you have to then go back and reassess your audience. And particularly, you want to look at the audience, the part of your audience that uses voice-enabled devices. Because people who have a voice-enabled device often have it on all day. And that's where they're first going to turn for information. So the question is, what gets them to use voice? What kind of information do they expect from the voice? What kind of voice do they want to hear? And what kinds of needs that they have can help you deliver the best information to that audience. In addition to your existing audience, you want to think about people who may not currently be part of your audience. These are buyers, they can be influencers, they can be end users, or other people interested in information from your business that may be voice only. And you want to figure out who they are and how they use voice and what kind of persona they fill. B stands for brand, and more broadly, your business. And the key here is understanding the information, because part of a business's offering are not just your products and your services, but it's the content and information and how you engage with your audience. So what kind of information can your business provide to voice-first users, and what can you do to make it easier for them to find your information in particular? And to that end, you've got to think about, again, what kind of voice your brand represents that goes to your voice and voice branding, but also on a higher level, what does your brand stand for? Because in today's world, even though most people expect a voice to be female, and this goes back to World War II, where female voices were used in aircraft because they cut through the male voices, science and research shows that it also expect a female voice. And your concern as a business is, how are you being more inclusive for your audience? Then lastly, C stands for context, and that actually goes to Google's micro moments, which means that your business needs to be there and be able to answer, what do I want? What do I need? What do I want to buy? How will you entertain me? And you need to know specifically about the context, the immediacy, and the quality of that information. And to see how this fits from a marketing perspective, here's a simplified version of a chart showing audience actions, brand offering, and voice capabilities in context. And you can see that they overlap. The real sweet spot from a marketing perspective is in that center where all of them overlap, so that your audience needs and wants are met by voice that can be offered by your brand in that context of voice. And to understand how you use this to make your business become voice first, here is a worksheet that provides a template that can help you walk through each of these three factors. And so here's the thing, when you have an audience, you've got to think about very specifically, what needs are they asking for? What questions? Because one of the things that helps your brand to show up when you have somebody who's never experienced your brand is to provide what I call FAQ content. That goes back to Marcus Sheridan. They ask, you answer. So you want to know the specific question. You want to include that question in your content. And even better, you want all of the content that is related to a specific product to be included on a page where all those questions can then be linked to. Also, you want to know from the audience perspective, what is prompting them? What is making them say, I want an answer to a question? I need to know, I need to buy, I need to go, I need to be entertained. What prompted them to do this? Because if you don't know that, it is very difficult for you to take that next step, because you're going to be acting without understanding where they come from. And the next set of questions are about the actual context of the user, because that tells you about what format the information needs to be delivered, how fast they're going to make a decision on it, where they are and what their specific needs are. And it can also give you insights as to location. For example, home is not good enough, especially when living rooms, kitchens, and bedrooms get roughly the same amount of usage of voice assistants. You want to know exact physical location, because that has insights into what kind of information the user is asking for. Further, you want to know about the time, but not just time of day, but also the day. Is it a weekday? Is it part of a regular routine? Or is this something that they just happen to need today because they're going someplace special? And then you also want to know, is the user there, is it screen-free, hands-free, and are they alone? Most smart devices today are not are not just voice devices. A lot of them come in a multimodal, so they also have a screen. And you want to know, are they looking for a different kind of device for their answer and their output? And lastly, from your brand perspective, once you know all of this, you can then make a list of the type of information that you can supply. And I strongly recommend that you think outside of just your marketing to a broader audience, not a broader audience, but a broader array of departments across your business. That includes your sales, your customer service, your frontline managers, because these people are used to talking to prospects, customers, and users. They know what kind of questions. They can help you provide quality responses that will get on their radar. And that is where you need to get that information. And at the same time, by providing your information in that way, you enable your audit, you enable them to help you craft those answers and bring out your true brand voice. But then once they're crafted, you can then bring those back to those same people, your sales force, your customer service, your onboarding, so that they can then use those and not have to reinvent and rewrite a script each time. So it saves them time, and that actually helps make a better case for you having voice marketing. So in terms of delivering voice marketing, this is another element that is, and as part of this, what you need to think about is how do you build the case for having voice marketing? In today's world, or almost in any world, spending money is really hard, and the first place anybody looks to cut costs is in marketing. And there are 3 reasons to include voice. 1, it brings you up and puts you on a parity with your competitors. If someone else is using voice opportunities, if you're not using them, you're already behind with regard to your prospects and your existing audience. 2 is saving money. And this actually is the biggest place you can, these next 2 are really important. And there have been lots of case studies, especially with regard to chatbots and IVRs, that show how you reduce cost by having a better system that can answer people's questions. So you're looking at customer service, sales qualification, better customer onboarding. All of this creates a better experience at lower cost, right? Especially, and a lot of businesses overlook the onboarding, because that is really important from the perspective that you need to think about where, right, that while even though somebody has bought something, research today shows that even B2B customers have an unsatisfactory result of 40%. Right? That is really a big deal. And lastly, you can increase revenues by having shorter sales cycles and more and or better qualified leads, and then keeping your customers longer, because the first 100 days are the most critical period with any customer. And here's what you need. Here's a framework or template to help you make your case for adding voice marketing. And it goes across a variety of factors, and they really take a lot more time than I can show in this short video. But what you really have to understand is, what problem are you going to solve? Who do you want involved in this decision? And at a minimum, whether or not they're stakeholders, you want to go to anyone in your marketing department that may be involved. You also want to talk to people who actually talk to your customers, such as sales and customer service. Where possible, you want to show what else is being done in the world and do both an internal and a competitive analysis. What do you already have that you can add on to or leverage to make this easier? And B, what are your competitors and major players doing? Where are there opportunities for your business to stand out? And what are the risks and benefits that your business will have? Because you really have to be able to show dollars and cents. So that goes back to your project specifics in terms of timetables and associated costs. But you've got to make sure that you include your success metrics and KPIs and calls to action, because without these, your audience, you will not be able to track. If you do not put them into the plan, they will not necessarily get tracked. And don't worry, in the bonus section, there's not only an open blank copy of this template, but there's also another one which provides you with more questions to help you build a better case for your business. And lastly, here are 3 ways you can have quick hits, right? The minimum, go and claim Google My Business. That helps your business to show up for near me searches. And those always have some kind of purchase intent. Second, go through your owned media. That includes your website, your blogs, your emails, your other messaging, and see where you have existing voice or audio content and where you have opportunities to promote that at no cost. And lastly, tap into what I call OPA. other people's audiences. And you do this by either partnering with someone to do an Alexa briefing or a podcast, or to become a guest on existing audio shows that get your voice out there. So together you take all of these factors and this gives you a basis for starting to move your business from not having voice integrated into your marketing to integrating it across each of the aspects of marketing. And if you do a good job, you can actually reach out and work with other members across different departments. So this is really now over to you. I believe that you can do this because hashtag you rock. If you need anything else to help you get through this, there is not only a copy of the presentation, but there are additional bonus materials in this download that help provide you with the data you need to help make your business case, as well as the templates and other examples to show where your business can make more inroads in terms of voice. And I would really appreciate it after that if you would subscribe to my newsletter at HeidiCohen.com/subscribe. And if you have any further questions, please contact me at Heidi@HeidiCohen.com, because I believe that together we can improve the value of voice marketing across various businesses and to make it a key element of every business's marketing. Thank you again, and thank you to Voice Global.